What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, joined by Kevel, Dilly Vanilli. We are here to review Monday Night Football for week number 8, 29-19, Kansas City Chiefs taking an AFC West showdown in Kansas City with our friend the Young Gun at the game in attendance. The Chiefs take it 29-19 in a huge game for both teams after having a slump 2 games in a row, 2 losses in a row. The Chiefs find their way back into the win column. The Broncos, in what was considered from us a must-win, now fall to 3-4. We'll discuss both of these teams and where they're going to go from this point, and all the other stuff. We'll discuss the performances of one Trevor SEIMIAN and much, 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 much more. There was a couple of crazy couple or just one crazy trade? There's a couple. I guess Dwayne Brown was at the beginning, near the beginning of the game. So we're going to discuss that too. If you have any questions about the trade deadline, about those 2 trades in particular, about the Broncos, about the Chiefs, about the NFL, let us know in the live chat below. Let's get these 2 fine fellows' thoughts on the game tonight. The Chiefs, the Broncos. Again, Chiefs take it 29-19. What did you guys think?
I'm a fine fellow. Today's game was, I thought, bogus. These 2 teams just played awful in 2 different ways. The Chiefs were looking pretty good, 14-0 lead in the first quarter with 2 pretty easy touchdowns. And then they were playing the Detroit Lions game of football where they couldn't score a touchdown and decided to go for field goals, which worked. They still won the football game by 10, but this game could have easily been dominated a lot more than it should have been. Or than it was. Kareem Hunt did not have a big game at all today, and Kelsey was the big provider for a lot of their offense, and Alex Smith didn't even play that great to begin. For the Broncos, we're going to talk about Trevor SEIMIAN a lot, but this guy played like absolute ass, straight trash, and put up what I consider the worst performance of Monday Night Football this season. Just bad passes, bad calls. Don't understand where this was coming from. And even though the Denver rushing game got 177 rushing yards, it didn't look all that impressive because it was just like, eh. And Denver now has to play the hardest schedule left in football, and their season is D-U-N-E, dumb.
I feel really bad for the Broncos defense. I thought that they put in a really good effort today, considering the situation that they were put in. They were down 7-0, not even their fault. Marcus Peters recovers a fumble at the beginning of the game for a touchdown. They were behind the whole game. They found a way to keep this Broncos offense in the game, and the Broncos offense found a way to keep themselves out of this game. It is amazing. We are going to talk about Trevor SEIMIAN a lot. I do think I am going to bring up something that I want to ask a question. And it is going to raise the ire. I'm going to ask it later just to tease you because I think it's going to raise the ire of everybody. But I'm going to ask it. I think it will be a legitimate question. I don't think it's a stupid question. For the Chiefs, I think that you can come away with this though thinking, yeah, it wasn't a great performance from Kareem Hunt. Yeah, it wasn't that great of a performance of Alex Smith, but they found a way to win an ugly football game. And there's some flaws with this team, but they got the win, and I think that's the most important thing. Is it an impressive win? We'll talk about that. That will rile someone. That might rile someone to get on the channel. I think we talk about the Chiefs, we'll see. We'll see if AC comes on.
We'll see. You never know with AC. He's a wild one. He'll just go over there. By the way, ESPN. They do their percentages of win probability during the game. The highest percentage or the lowest percentage for the Chiefs was 71%. 71. So the Broncos were never really in this game, just to tell you that.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing for the Broncos. The Broncos are a team that want to play out in front of you. That's what they do best. What they do best is they run the football on offense. When they do move the ball, that's what they do. And then on defense, they're able to kind of get you and get you into a corner because they're great at pass rushing. They had Shane Ray back in this game. They wanted to unleash the hounds at Alex Smith, and they did at times. And they have great corners. They're able to play good pass defense. They also did play good run defense in this game, which they've been doing consistently this season. But overall, they want to get you in a situation where you're having to pass more than not. They're letting Von Miller go after the quarterback. They're playing defense that way, and that's just never how the game turned out. This was the exact right way for the Chiefs to start this game, going up 14-0 in the first quarter, which pretty much put the ball in their hands and pretty much gave them the steering wheel in they directed which way they wanted this game to go. Because whenever the Denver Broncos are down in a game, especially with Trevor Siemian at quarterback, there is almost zero chance they're going to come back. Unless the Broncos defense makes some incredible play where they bring back a touchdown or their special teams gets a touchdown, it's almost impossible for them to come back with this lackluster offense. Not to mention they didn't have Emmanuel Sanders, so that obviously hurts their passing game to come back in the game. But for some reason, this game was still won by 10 points by the Chiefs, but at the same time, it felt too close. I know that some people would argue that Tyreek Hill threw a really stupid interception in the end zone and the game could have been maybe a wider margin than it seemed. But at the same time, the Chiefs never really put this game away. The Broncos were fighting for this game all the way to the end, and the Broncos had their worst offensive performance of this season, arguably. They didn't even score a point against the Chargers last week, but they were probably worse this week than they were against the Chargers. So, I mean, it just looks rough from Denver's perspective. Obviously, they have the Patriots and the Eagles coming up, or the Eagles and then the Patriots coming up. So that's not looking good. Apparently, they have the toughest schedule remaining in the NFL, which is not good for them if they want to make the playoffs. The Chiefs, though, at least they got the victory. They're back in control of this division, and it looks to be a wide margin between them and the second-place team right now. With probably, I think we would all agree that the Chargers are probably the second-best team in that division, but they're still a couple of 3 or 4 games behind them right now, so it seems like they have a wide margin. But at the same time,
they haven't played each other yet.
Yeah, they play once.
Oh, you're right. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, they play once. But I just think, like, the Broncos, they played an absolutely shit game on offense. Their defense kept them in it, and they were able to make some plays to make the game close. But without a good quarterback, a competent passing game, they weren't able to make that full comeback. And I really feel if you're a Chiefs fan, Kev brought this up in that Texans game. It starts to worry you when you're letting teams come back in the game and you're not finishing them off and you're not playing the full 60 minutes. I thought this was a decent game for the Chiefs, but it definitely wasn't their best performance. So let's get into the scoring summary. As I said, 2 touchdowns. Defensive fumble return for Marcus Peters, 45 yards. Travis Kelce had a 29-yard touchdown where he was pretty much left uncovered, it seemed. Second quarter, 2 field goals, 1 for each side. Then in the third quarter, we had 2 field goals, 1 for each side, and then a rushing touchdown for Devontae Booker, which made the game a little bit closer. At one point, the Broncos were only down, I think, by like a touchdown, but the Chiefs slowly kind of got away with it, really, because Trevor Siemian just kept throwing them the football. 3 field goals in a row, 9 points in a row for the Chiefs. All from outside of 40 yards for those field goals. And a lot of those field goals came off of turnover on downs for the Broncos. And then A.J. Derby got a touchdown to make it a little bit closer for the Broncos near the end. 11-yard touchdown from Trevor Siemian. So that's the scoring summary. We'll get into the stats. Do you guys have anything to add before we dive into the performances?
I'd like to point out that somebody's super inaccurate in the comment section. I will defend Mitch one time and one time only for this Chiefs comment. I don't remember when he said that the Chiefs were trash when they were 5-0. I'm pretty sure that's a statement he did not make.
When did I say that the Chiefs were trash? I said they were good.
Somebody in here said that, so they're dumb. So we're going over the Broncos. Is that what it was? we're going to put a lot of blame on Trevor SEIMIAN. Absolutely 100% fair. But his receivers did not help him either. Fowler dropped about 5 passes in this game. It was ugly.
The problem with the Broncos offense, a lot of people don't really think about this, but they haven't had a third receiver since Wes Welker left.
Yeah. Because it's always been Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, and then they have just like a whole bunch of people that try to come in for a catch or two. They don't have a solid third person. And with Emmanuel still hurt, they had one legitimate receiver and the other 3 so Darby's having to come in there, or Derby, sorry. He couldn't catch except for the 1 touchdown that he had. Fowler was terrible. One of the worst games I've seen from any player this season. McKenzie fumbled that punt return, which gave the Chiefs 3 extra points. That's a bad turnover. 3 awful interceptions by Trevor SEIMIAN, especially the one where he did a Brett Favre throw and threw it from one side of the field back into the middle of the field. Awful. Just an ugly performance. And if you're the Broncos, you're scurrying. I don't think this is a good performance whatsoever.
Okay, so
I want to make a point, though.
Okay.
As bad as this was for the Broncos, they actually outgained the Chiefs in the second and the third quarter.
Yeah, they could move the ball.
The Chiefs only had 100 yards in the second and the third quarter.
Okay, Kev, first off, the Broncos defense deserves a lot of credit for that. But second, the Chiefs have been giving up yards on the regular. Every single game, they've been giving up yards. They ranked, I think, 28th or 29th in yards coming into this game. So obviously that's not a good stat. But the Broncos were able to move the football. It was just a matter of Trevor SEIMIAN making a stupid mistake, which is what the Chiefs have done best on defense over the past few years under Andy Reid. They've always been a defense that's been able to take the football away. Not so much this year, but in this game they were able to do that. But a lot of that was just SEIMIAN being an absolute dumbass, throwing the ball like Brett Favre across his body. We might as well get into Trevor SEIMIAN right now. 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 198 yards, 19 for 36, three times sacked. Okay. So 2 of the sacks were probably his fault because he was running around and didn't throw the ball away. The 3 interceptions were all his fault, basically. He scrambled outside the pocket, threw the ball across his body. He threw the ball at 3 people where there was no receiver there. And then I don't remember the other one. It sounded familiar, though, like so many passes I saw him throw, and just the interceptions were god-awful. Oh, the other one was a deep bomb.
Yeah, it was the corner one.
It was basically a punt. Okay, that one's fine, whatever. But the other ones, I mean, what in the blue are you doing? You're throwing it right at the other team. You're basically saying, hey, guys, have the ball. I don't want to play anymore. I'm going to go sit on the bench. Trevor SEIMIAN was terrible. In the first quarter, I've never seen a quarterback start a game worse than Trevor SEIMIAN started this game. He threw the ball at the ground like 6 times in a row. No wonder the ball was dropped or uncatchable, because the freaking ball was at the ground.
No, some of them should have been catchable. I get some of them. Yes,
but
SEIMIAN was throwing low on them.
Bro,
I'm putting blame on both of them. I'm putting blame on both of them.
I understand that, and I agree with you for some of them. But some of them were like 8-yard passes, and he's throwing it at the ground. Like, holy crap. This guy was terrible in this game.
Because they kept it pretty conservative for him. Like, on the touchdown drive, there was nothing more than 10 yards. They had it pretty conservative, and he was doing okay. But like, not only that, like, you could talk about the 3 interceptions; those were bad. But we need to also get into that final drive where he's running for 5 yards instead of throwing the ball away. Like, why are you running? Like, he found a way to kill the clock. Then the 2-point conversion, I think he was trying to throw it to Kauffman Stadium. I think he was trying to throw it over the stadium. I honestly think that was his thought process there. Yeah, like, there was a lot just wrong with this performance. And it felt to me that the offensive line specifically was starting to get frustrated with this guy. Like,
okay. The offensive line for the Broncos isn't very good, but I didn't think it was terrible in this game. I mean, it wasn't good.
Well, it's hard to block when you have a guy running around. God knows.
No, their only really bad performance is their right tackle. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But he was blocking Justin Houston, which I get is hard to do, but he was letting them get some pretty open sacks.
And that's been something that's been different for the Chiefs. They haven't seen the same consistency through their pass rush.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's been huge for them because they usually rely on that. But obviously in this game, you didn't really need it. I mean, Trevor Siemian was just a goofball. And that's even worse that they were able to run the ball the way they did. Sure, Jamal Charles fumbled the ball, but he looked good in this game for the most part. He was explosive. Going to the run game, he had 4.9 yards per carry. He did have the fumble, 8 for 39. Anderson had a solid day, 15 rushes for 78 yards. That's 5.2 yards per carry. Booker had 6.7 yards per carry. At some point, if you're the Broncos, I know you're losing, but just just do the Jaguars game plan and have him throw 10 passes. You have the same type of team where you can run the ball and you have a defense that's great. Just put it in the hands of your running backs, let them run the football, and don't lose the game at the quarterback position. I know you were losing the game, and their game plan from the beginning wasn't to throw the ball 36 times. But at the same time, your defense continues to stop them. You're eventually going to come back if you have these drives and you you run the ball. Like every single one of your running backs was effective in this game. As for Siemian, I thought that he was most effective when he was outside of the pocket, like throwing like bootlegs and stuff like that. And he had 2 carries for 20 yards. Obviously, the Emmanuel Sanders thing hurts them. But looking at their receivers, they had like 10 guys caught the ball. And some of the guys that caught the ball are named Jordan Taylor.
Yeah.
Humerman.
Yeah.
Jeff Humerman. Devontae Booker, their third string running back. Cody Latimer.
Yes.
They had a reception from their fullback / tight end, Virgil Green.
Love it.
2 from AJ Derby. Their second receiver was Benny Fowler.
Fowler!
Like, are you kidding me?
Who dropped like 5 catches. Like, come on.
Usually it's good to spread the ball around, but when you have to throw to these absolute bums, might as well play Talib on offense. Goodness gracious. Bro,
hey, I'm telling you, Talib, he led Kansas to 12-1 record. Okay, he's good. He's good. Coach has some opinions. He says Denver. I'm just gonna bring up this one. Denver quarterback cannot even manage a game. What a waste of good defense. Bring back Trent Dilfer. Trent Dilfer had a 1-year wonder, but yeah, awful receiving core. The running game was going well. Jamal Charles got that fumble early on, which sucks, but it was good. The fact that he was in Kansas City, maybe that helped him out a little bit, but running game was decent overall, though. This offense is in shambles. Like, honestly, I can't really over-exaggerate how bad this offense was.
Okay, this is now where I'm going to ask the question that is going to be ridiculous. Is John Elway, as a general manager, overrated?
As a GM?
Look at this offense since he has been in charge.
He has done a good job for the most part. He did a very good job for Peyton Manning.
Yes.
Very good job for Peyton Manning. Since then, it's been questionable, but the biggest reason it's been questionable is because they don't have a quarterback. That's the one position
let's talk about that.
That's the one position you need to find, and he hasn't found that position. That's obviously a failure. But besides that, you look at this team, and with any decent average quarterback, this is an easy playoff team. Easy playoff team.
Okay, let's look at that throughout. There's been Tim Tebow, Peyton Manning at the tail end of his career, and they did
where he played really well and had played really well.
Season. But when they won the Super Bowl, it wasn't because of Peyton Manning.
Okay, but he got into two Super Bowls.
On the fact that he built an excellent defense.
That's fair. And we've had Brock Osweiler and Trevor Siemian.
Terrible. Although he is the smartest man for getting that guy that he wanted as a franchise quarterback.
Forget about Mark Sanchez.
As the back, he wanted his franchise quarterback and got him for like $775,000 or whatever. So that was smart.
I just wonder, like, the guy that is a legendary quarterback. What I just am thinking why they can't.
John Elway at his age right now would be better than Trevor SEIMIAN.
You know what? That's not even a question.
But they don't even have a solution behind Trevor SEIMIAN. Not really. I mean, they brought back Osweiler, okay. But Paxton Lynch isn't the answer. And clearly the way that they're talking, they don't even want to give Paxton Lynch that shot. They know he's not ready.
No, he's clearly not ready because you would think he would already be in by now.
You have to give him that shot? He was a first-round pick. I understand you don't want to really throw a guy and force a guy into a role, but are you really going to embarrass yourself and put Brock Osweiler in?
Bro, put Osweiler in right now. Like, fuck it. Fuck it.
Osweiler's nickname is the Heist because he steals money.
He's great at stealing money. This man is a legend when it comes to stealing money. Now, do I hate him? Absolutely. He's terrible, but he's going to be safe in his bank account for life.
That is true.
He's rich for life, for sure.
Like he's just like, all right, I'm going to play 8 really good games of football. Actually, he didn't even play that great at the end because then he
wasn't even that good.
No, I'm going to play 3 really good games of football. He played 3 really good games, and then he's like, all right, I'm going to play mediocre football.
The only thing he did was win games. That's it. He didn't play good.
Those first 3 games he played all right. All right.
Okay, Dylan, we'll say that.
I mean, I'm not going to defend him. He's awful, but man got $72 million. I'm going to go get my jacket real quick.
It was a well done play. Where's he going?
Going to get my jacket. I'm cold.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a well done. It was well done on his part, I guess, if you're a money-grubbing bastard. But if you wanted to be a productive NFL quarterback, this is not good. I don't know how this team this offense hasn't been good for a while. And it's not just the quarterback. I mean, their running game before tonight did not do very well. I mean, against the Giants, C.J. Anderson had 17 yards, and Jamal Charles led the ground attack with 19 yards. And then the last week against San Diego, C.J. Anderson led with 44 yards on 10 carries, 4 in it, which was a bad average. But this offense hasn't exactly lit up the world on fire for about 3 or 4 years. And if they had an offense that lit up, I would argue that they probably would have been in the playoffs last year, and I would argue this game would have been closer at least. At least I would submit it would have been a closer game. Whether they would have won or not, I guess, is disputable. So I'm just, why are we? Yeah, I think the approach to the offense for Denver is curious to me, to say the least. I understand you want to identify as a defensive team, and I get that. But at some point, you've got to have some skill in the offense. And I don't think C.J. Anderson's that great. And I don't know if I think that Demaryius Thomas is all that great either.
Broncos should sign Colin Kaepernick.
Demaryius Thomas has always been overrated. He's a good receiver, but is
he a number one?
He's a top. I would say he's a number one, but I don't think he's like a game-changing number one. Like, he is a guy that's good, but he's not like a game breaker. But if you were to rank receivers, he would be in the top 32 receivers for sure. He was top 20 probably. But
he was a great receiver 5 years ago, and now he's not a good quarterback.
Good. I actually think Emmanuel Sanders is better than him, to be honest.
I do too. I've always liked Sanders, but the last 3 years specifically, maybe it's just because I've been doing fantasy.
They had a good quarterback. If they had let's just put that out. Kirk Cousins, for example. These 2 receivers would look a lot better than they are because they don't have a freaking quarterback to throw them the ball.
Yeah.
Can we get to the Chiefs? I'm just done with the ranting. We're repeating ourselves.
But let's give some positives for the Broncos, because the Broncos, they had a good run game. We'll give them that. I still don't know why they're not trying to run the ball more. Just take the page out of the Jacksonville playbook and
nice pitch.
And use it.
But you're down 14-0. So
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It's the first quarter. They can run the football as much as they want to. If it's 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, I would suggest not doing that. But.
The Denver defense was good. Shaquille Barrett freaking ran over Eric Fisher on one play and just killed Alex Smith. Von Miller was good, didn't show up on the sack sheet. Brandon Marshall had 8 tackles. An interception for Stewart, who is a good free safety, by the way. Very underrated for a number of seasons. Not a lot in terms of tackles for Talib or Harris. A lot of that is because they didn't need to tackle receivers, really, because the Chiefs threw for 202 yards, and 133 of them were to a tight end.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So they do play Ertz and Gronk coming up. So they might want to fix that. But other than that, they can cover receivers all day. It's just a matter of if they can cover the tight end. Kind of knew that was going to be an issue, especially when they announced that they were going to release TJ Ward. Now, we noticed that TJ Ward isn't as good as we might have thought, but at the same time,
he isn't who we thought he was.
Even if he was there, they still wouldn't have had really a guy to cover a tight end. So that is a concern. That is a spot on their defense that is beatable. So they need to fix that spot. But yeah, the defense overall was really good against a top-notch offense. They contained the run. Kareem Hunt had his worst game of the season. Alex Smith had one of his worst games of the season. Tyreek Hill had one of his worst games of the season. It's just Travis Kelce who they couldn't stop.
And that was the difference.
They couldn't stop him.
Hey, he's a good football player, though.
And putting him in, and also considering the fact that they were mostly in field position and holding the team to field goals, I think is kudos.
Yeah, especially where like the Chiefs were getting at like their 40 and moving it 20 yards and then kicking a field goal, or not even like maybe 5 yards and kicking a field goal. So.
Going like midway into the third quarter, their average starting field position was at their own 46-yard line. So the fact the Broncos were even stopping that impressive.
And this was, looking at Alex Smith's stat line, this was by far his worst completion percentage performance. He was leading the league, I think, at 72%, which would be the record. But that's obviously moved down now that he went 14 for 31 on the day, 202 yards and a touchdown.
He only had 40 yards more than Trevor Siemian.
He only had 4 more yards than Trevor Siemian, but he only completed 14 passes. So Siemian did complete 5 more passes, but Alex Smith wasn't great. I mean, we played a really good defense, but he didn't do anything really spectacular. I thought that he was really good with his legs, though. He made a number of plays. Four carries for 33 yards with his legs. Kareem Hunt, 22 for 46. That's 2.1 yards per carry. Really good defense. I think that a lot of people are getting used to the Kareem Hunt running game now with Andy Reid's offense. They're getting used to the motion with the receiver. They're getting used to the little tricks that they do. And I think that some of the injuries along the Kansas City offensive line has taken a hit to this run game, which hasn't been as effective over the past couple of weeks, especially shown in this game. Travis Kelce was their star of the game, 7 receptions, 133 yards and a touchdown. A couple of them he was wide open. Tyreek Hill, 2 for 38, Hunt, 3 for 22, and Robinson and West, 1 for 5 and 1 for 4. So not much.
The one drive that I thought that Smith was good on was after the Broncos got the touchdown. They were actually in trouble.
Which touchdown?
What's that?
Which touchdown?
The last one. The last touchdown.
Okay.
The one that got them within 7. The one where I messaged
that was the Devontae Booker 6-yard touchdown.
So that drive, I thought was Smith was good on that drive. He used his legs, as you were mentioning. He got it down there and he got the field goal. That was probably the drive that put the game away, really, that started to put the nail back in the coffin for the Chiefs. So I thought he was good there.
He had his moments, but obviously this wasn't his best game. Any thoughts at all, Dylan, on Alex Smith?
I'm sorry. I'm just watching Sports Center, and the backup for Pittsburgh Penguins goalie got scored on 9.2 seconds. I'm sorry. I just wanted to see that.
Of course.
9.2 seconds. I don't even know anything about hockey. Yeah, so the Chiefs weren't looking as efficient today. Last 3 games, they've been struggling at some points. But Alex
Their
Smith,
offense was really good against the Raiders, but that was the Raiders.
Yeah, it's the Raiders. Plus, I didn't watch that game. So, 14-31, 202 yards, a touchdown. It wasn't the best performance. I mean, he could throw really well, really well to Travis Kelce. But otherwise, a lot of other guys weren't getting that. It's because Kelce was wide open most of the time.
Do we think that the loss of Connolly has had an impact on that?
Yes, because I think Conley was a good, third receiver. You said it was second receiver, and they could use him in certain sets. And now I think some of those plays may be gone because they don't have that explosive receiver to use it, like that particular receiver. So I think they're losing it. I mean, you got Kelce and Hill, but who else is a receiver?
I think the problem is, like I discussed this before, was I wanted to see how they would kind of adjust without Conley, because Conley is that big, tall receiver, and Tyreek Hill is tall, but like they don't really have anyone else to play that outside spot because they have Albert Wilson, who's better in the slot, and now they're having to kind of move him around into uncomfortable positions. And their other guy isn't very good. Like I don't think anybody really knows who Robinson is, to be honest. So yeah, so that's an issue because obviously there's 3 things you need to stop on Kansas City. A lot of times teams can only stop 1 or 2 of them, which is why their offense is really good. But like Kelce, Hunt, Hill. Besides that, you have to let the other guys beat you. And that's what a good defense does. And Denver did that today. Obviously, they took away the run game. They took away Hill, and Kelce beat them. But if they had a competent freaking offense, they would have probably won the game. But their defense for Kansas City, 7 tackles for Parker, 1 interception. That interception was the one that was deep on the right sideline. Sorensen, another safety, 7 tackles. Houston, 2 sacks and 6 tackles. Logan, half a sack, sorry. Anybody stand out for you? And Peters, an interception. Anybody else stand out for you in terms of their defense for the Chiefs? Any concerns or positives?
Peters played well, I think, early in the game. He got that fumble recovery, but also had the interception, so that was good. Justin Houston was abusing the right tackle and got 2 sacks off of it, so he was playing well. Parker had a good game for himself. We've talked about this before in multiple games, but the Kansas City defense has been quite overrated. And what if they're going to have to play, some actually explosive offenses down the road? I don't know if this is going to be a good test for them or not. They play the Cowboys next week. They'll play the Bills. They don't have that much competition in terms of offenses. But when it gets to the playoff time, they're going to be playing a couple of offenses that I think they're not going to be able to stop. And that's a question mark for me. If the Broncos had a competent quarterback, I think we would be talking about this game differently. Maybe because Kansas City would be able to get a couple more drives. I don't know. Maybe this game would be more competitive. But I feel like this defense did some things right, but I don't know going forward.
We never got into the Tyreek Hill play. I guess we'll save that for a little bit later. I thought Marcus Peters was outstanding, of course, with the fumble recovery, touchdown, the interception. He's a havoc wrecker for sure. Houston had a good game. Yeah, but you can run the ball. It seemed like C.J. Anderson.
You can run and pass the ball. But the positive thing about the Chiefs defense is hopefully this is a trend that continues with them, is that hopefully they get that reputation back for turning the football over, and hopefully that kind of spirals into their next few performances. That's what they're probably hoping, and their fans should be hoping, is that this gives them the confidence, this gives them the aggression to get those turnovers back, because their offense has never been this good before. This offense has never been this good before. So maybe for this Chiefs team, all you have to really do is play good enough defense and give your offense enough opportunities to win the game. You don't have to be dominant like maybe you were a couple of years ago. So
okay. Let me throw a scenario at you here, because this is something I've been thinking about today. What happens if Kansas City has to play Jacksonville in the playoffs? Who wins? Be honest.
I would say Kansas City.
Badly, or is it close?
I would say it's
but I would
similar
still
to
say-
this game.
Oh,
I'd say
I knew he would come. We will.
I would say I knew you'd come, brother Nero.
Brother AC, I knew you'd come.
He doesn't know what that means.
Oh, he's muted. He can't hear. I can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
I do want to say though, I think it would be very similar to this game. I think Jacksonville would hang around. Their defense would keep them in it. But at the end of the day, their quarterback would cost them the game, and they wouldn't be able to keep up. I think that's
In the
the way the
playoffs,
game would go.
In the playoffs, you're gonna have to throw more than 15 times. I'm sorry, that's not happening. By the way, Bodo, this is not a Redskins sweatshirt. This is a Chance the Rapper hoodie.
It does look like one though. I think he's a closet Redskins fan.
No, we just beat them yesterday, so I have no reason to be a Redskins fan whatsoever. But yeah, it says magnificent. AC, what's going on? Okay, he's
See ya, AC. So maybe Kev, you should probably save the thing you were gonna say until when he gets hit. What do you think? Okay, how about you discuss that touchdown, Kev?
No, I mean,
or not the touchdown, that play from Tyreek Hill you wanted to talk about.
We never really talked about it because we were talking about it in the chat. It looked to me like, in terms, I don't know if it was a terrible call or as much it was just really not a good play decision by Hill to throw it, because it was pretty obvious.
Okay, that play.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious.
Okay.
Obvious that was an interception. There was nowhere to go with that.
Okay, this is where it starts. This gave the Broncos life, and I know AC is going to be pissed off right now, but this gave the Broncos life to come back in the football game. It did. It did, because they went down the field. They had a pretty good drive. I think they got a field goal out of it. But this gave the Broncos life because, wow, this team just had it in the red zone. We forced a turnover. Our defense made a play. We're back in it. So I thought it was a dumb call in that situation. You're up 14-0. Run a more conventional call. The second thing is, yes, it was a poor decision by Tyreek Hill to throw the ball. Obviously, it was a terrible pass. So I don't know why he's playing. I don't know why he's throwing it.
LeBron, what was he doing there?
Like, he looked like Kobe. Like Kobe. Like, I don't know what he was doing with that. So, like, I don't know why they had Tyreek Hill throw it. And then I don't know why he threw it. Like, he should have rather ran or just thrown it out of bounds.
Here's the thing. I don't blame the call. I blame the player on that situation. Because again, if that's
I blame both, because you're up 14-0. You have a chance to put the game away, and you do a stupid play.
Yeah, but if that works, we're like, well, what the creativity that was into that.
But it couldn't just at the same time. It could backfire if he gets sacked or hit behind the line at the same time.
I'd rather take the sack than throw the interception. I know. That's a bad play.
There's a lot of chances for it to be negative, not just the interception, is what I'm trying to say.
I don't. AC, what's going on, brother?
Especially when you're moving the ball at that point, and you're not like, you're moving the ball conventionally. You're not having to do flea flickers, reverses, all this crazy crap. So why don't you just run the ball up the middle or pass it to Kelsey? Because that's what you've been doing the entire game before that, and that's how you've been moving the ball. So why don't you just move the ball that way into the end zone and go up 21-0? It's not like you're down 14-0. You can't move the ball. You can't do anything, and you call this play. That's when these trick plays are called. So at the same time, there's blame on Andy Reid for me, and you guys disagree. That's fine. And there's also blame on Tyreek Hill for not knowing what to do in that situation and throwing the ball away.
That second part is absolutely true. I will still disagree on the first half.
The throw was, to me, I don't think it was a decision.
No, that's one of the worst throws I've ever seen. I don't know where.
He probably could have thrown if he was open, sort of.
Yeah, he would have been able to get that somewhere.
If he would have thrown it over his head, he would have had a chance to catch it, or it would have went out of bounds.
Like, I don't understand. Like, it was just such a bad mechanic on a throw. I'm like, wait, how does somebody not know how to throw a ball like 10 yards? I don't understand that. It's just like,
no, but like, I don't know why you don't know that Tyreek Hill, if you're going to run it with Tyreek Hill, you should know that he can at least throw the ball 10 yards.
That I'll agree with you, because I don't know. Either he slipped up or that's how he throws, And I hope it's the first one because that's how he throws.
Yeah.
Well, Don Terry Poe is a better. Actually,
Yeah.
he caught the Poe. He caught the ball, but
Well,
still.
wasn't there a lineman that threw?
No, he threw. No,
it was Poe. Wasn't it
threw
Poe?
he threw it to another
don't
running
remember.
back. He's a better thrower.
No, the reason I was asking about KC and Jacksonville is I'm wondering going forward in the AFC, it's going to be a lot about who matches up with who in the first round. So, and facing a Buffalo or facing a Jacksonville or facing a San Diego, who I think are like whoever you're facing. There's a few teams that you may. I'm going to just propose that a team like Kansas City is a team that needs a bye more than a team maybe like New England, who I think can be fine going on the road. There it is. There it is. Okay. So I just think matchups are going to be interesting going forward. That's what I'm curious about.
AC, what do you got to say?
No. I watched some of the game. I don't know. I haven't watched you guys, so I don't know what you've been saying. It seems like you were saying something I disagree with your reaction when I came on, but that's pretty standard.
No, what I was gonna say to get you on was like the Chiefs were gonna lose like 10 in a row or something like that. There comes AC.
No. Well,
they're
the
not
thing with the Chiefs is obviously they're declining. But what we're seeing is they're definitely gonna be a playoff team. But what we're seeing is we've seen every single team's weakness basically in a game. You know what I mean? Obviously, we're going to see some teams are clicking more than others at this point, like the last 3 weeks or whatever. But at the end of the day, we've seen every team's weakness. It's about, and we've also seen them execute what they want to do properly. So down the road, can KC get back to that winning formula? I don't know, but can they do enough to win some games and probably still finish 12-4 and maybe get a first round bye? I think so. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I do agree with Mitch. Not having an outside big target, losing Connolly, I think we talked about it earlier. I think when he got injured, but losing Connolly was a huge miss for them because he was a big target on the outside and made some catches. And I just don't think they have that. So, we're talking a lot about the trade deadline. Maybe they need
do you think they should make a trade?
What
if they tried to trade for like Terrell Pryor?
Yeah, but then if you're the Redskins, you just put the thing is with NFL trades is with all the guaranteed
it's not
money,
working out for the Redskins. So
no, I know, but
but
it's not like the NHL where you're just trading salaries. You're taking a huge cap hit plus the penalties, right?
But it's only a 1-year deal.
Was it? Oh, okay, so then it's not that bad at all. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
But then you're just kind of, if you're the Redskins, especially owners and management, you don't look very good at all.
No,
you're failing. You're taking the
and I
Elvis
bet
season.
Snyder won't do that. But
No.
That's
And
disappointing.
the one thing I'll quickly say about the Broncos, that front seven's still great. They stuff the run, but I think Talib has lost a step. I think Harris is still pretty good. I think Talib's lost a step a bit. And I think, obviously, ever since they lost Ward,
have they though? But like
Stewart's
they
been
only
good.
gave up 33 yards to Tariq Hill. The rest of the team, Kelsey had like 177 yards. They gave up 208 yards passing.
But
And
Harris was covering Kelsey
50
as well,
of it,
too, right?
50 of it was from
That was
freaking.
for a while.
But you're seeing matchup problems now with a tight end because I do like Brandon Marshall. I think he's quick enough,
Maybe they have, but they're still probably the best defense in the league.
Yeah, I guess like they've made some stops. I think the score could have been a bit higher with that red zone thing. So they're still giving up three.
But Simeon is
4
also
touchdowns.
throwing interceptions in their own end.
No, but short field is tough. But I'm just saying, if you're still giving up 3 touchdowns as the best defense, that's still worrisome. Like even if you're the best defense, I still think
one
there.
was Peters.
So 2 offensive touchdowns. Yeah, I guess you're right. But still, I'm just not as impressed with that Denver defense as I have been over the last.
Maybe it's not the 2015 defense, but it's still pretty. It's still top notch. It's still top 3, whatever way you look at it.
Other defensive has stepped up. Like I'd say Minnesota has a much better defense than Denver at this point.
I don't know. I just think they have a more competent offense.
I would say some defensive have stepped up. You could say Jacksonville's a better defense right now than Denver.
Yeah, Minnesota. Yeah.
I want to hear Kevin
So
and
you
AC
would-
argue. Like, I'm waiting for this. Can we?
There's
can we
nothing
just-
to argue about. I think we generally agree on this one.
Okay, so
No,
you
I
said
just-
you said something that was
middleman
interesting.
Kev.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, nothing.
No,
It's all good. No, middleman Kev sometimes though. He goes back and forth and he'll say, what
Kev,
happens
you
if
said
this
something that was interesting to me. Why do you think the Chiefs need a bye?
I think that
Which I don't think they're going to get. But why do you think they need a bye?
I think they need the home. I think that they're one of those teams that need home field to have a better chance of success in the first round. I think that there's, if you're a team like Jacksonville, you're right. I think Kansas City would beat Jacksonville, but Jacksonville wouldn't. The pressure would be all on Kansas City, and
I completely disagree with this. I think they need to be playing divisional games so they can prepare for better teams, or for the wild card to get to the divisional round. Because we've seen some teams that have gotten too big for their britches and get the bye and then get killed in the divisional round. I think the Chiefs need to be continually active,
Cowboy.
basically.
Well, I don't know. I think if you're a team, though, you want to have the best record. You want to have a home, and you want to have that week off because you only have to win 2 games to get to the Super Bowl. There's no team that ever. I don't think every single team's going for the best record and that first round bye and at home as much as they can. If they lose at home with the bye, it happens. It's football. It's any given Sunday. A lot can happen. When you're in the playoffs, you're playing against a decent enough team. So
I will say this, though. I think the first seed, the home field, is crucial in the AFC because I think it's 1, 2, 3, significant drop off, 4, 5, 6. So
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
because if 2 ends up playing 3, they're going to battle that out in the divisional, and then whoever's 1 is going to play 4 or 5 or 6. And
But it doesn't get reseeded though, right?
no, it goes by whoever is the lowest seed plays
yeah,
1, and then whoever's the highest plays 2.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
I was
if
thinking NBA.
if the Patriots and Steelers are 2 and 3, then they would play each other. If the Patriots are 1, then the Chiefs and Steelers would play each other. So that's how it would work.
I think you want to be in the situation where you don't want to be that team that is facing each other you want the easier matchup in the second round to get to the AFC final. And if you're the Chiefs, you want the Steelers and Patriots to beat each other up. Gives you a better chance.
Yeah.
Chris Brown released a 45-song album, Mitch.
Yeah, I'm gonna go listen to that.
Holy shit,
but,
it's 2.5 hours long. Okay, continue.
But yeah, like, so imagine that 4th matchup, right? So the 4 seed would be like Houston, maybe like Tennessee, Jacksonville. Then the 5 and 6, like Buffalo, Baltimore's in the mix, Chargers are in the mix, like Jacksonville. You would rather play that team than the Chiefs or the Steelers. In the NFC, it's a little different because I think it's a complete toss-up. I mean, it looks like the Eagles are going to be number 1, but does it really matter?
Yeah,
like, because you think so? Because I think it's like Eagles.
Last
then
3 NFC representatives were the number 1 seed.
Yeah, that's a good point. And also, too, look at the Eagles.
The Cowboys
Look at
The Cowboys were the number 1 seed last year.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
But I guess it didn't matter because Atlanta got to host
Panthers
every single time.
Seahawks were, though.
Yeah.
Huh?
But they got to host, at least Atlanta got to bye and got to host 2 home games.
Yes.
I think that's what Kev said.
That's
so I think it's important for the Seahawks and the Eagles because if you look at the Eagles' record right now at home, even last year they were good at home. They're playing well at home. I think.
I guess when you look at it though,
and then the Seahawks, right? Like the Seahawks dominate.
Not just them too,
at
though,
home
because the Saints, the Vikings,
yeah,
those are all
for
teams
sure.
that are good at home. So, and especially the Saints, I think need it more than maybe anybody. Who else? I guess the other teams are kind of looking like wild card teams at this point. Panthers, Cowboys,
and
Rams.
we'll see. The one thing actually I was thinking about the Eagles, it's going to be interesting to see how that offense does when the weather changes a bit. We'll see.
Okay, I want to talk about the trades a little bit, and then we're going to get to the comments, and then we'll leave. I think some of it will address the questions that are in the comments. Let's start off with the Seahawks trade. Luckily enough, there's 2 trades involving our teams, so that's great. Kevel,
The
go
only
ahead.
two big trades today. How is that possible?
Before we get to that, just a small point. Last year for the NFC playoffs, every home team won their game.
Except for Cowboys.
So that's right.
Wait, when?
Except the
wow.
Cowboys, every home team won their game except the Cowboys.
Joe Buck is our conspiracy.
Yeah, yeah. Joe Buck was calling defense.
I'm telling you, this guy, I want him off my TV screen.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, I think it was one of those trades for the Seahawks they absolutely needed to make finally. I think the game Sunday proved, well, it was probably Captain Obvious, but it proved that they needed to improve the offensive line. I mean, I heard Pete Carroll in the morning on the coach's show on one of the Seattle stations, and you could just feel the frustration about the running game entirely. Like it was almost like he was willing to bang his head in the wall. So I think that needed to happen. Brown was in a very frustrating situation in Houston with the whole controversy about the anthem and the owner's comments. And from what I understand, they had a conversation that didn't go very well. And there were rumors he was going to walk out anyway. Did they give up a lot? Probably. I don't think Jeremy Lane is probably the number 4 corner on the Seahawks now. I think Shaq's past him. I think Coleman's past him. I'm not a huge fan of Jeremy Lane.
Who's the 2?
Who's 2? Shaq.
So who's
with Sherman
the 4 then?
as 1.
Sherman's Shaq's 2. Coleman would be 3.
Then who's 4?
You
4
just said he's not the 4.
Jeremy Lane would be 4 on the Seahawks.
Oh, okay.
And you're paying him more than number 4.
No, I understand that. I know that.
But why are you paying him? Because there was so much hype. I remember a time when everyone was thinking Lane was the new Browner and part of the Legion of the Bloom.
But Lane was a throw-in. He was a throw-in in this trade because there was a 2nd-round pick and another pick, right?
A fifth this year and a 2nd next year. And for this 5th for this draft and a second for the next draft. And
which the Texans did need a corner.
Yeah, they
did need a corner.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. So I mean, might be a lot, but at the end of the day, I think they really did need to address their offensive line going forward.
No question.
Of course, especially left tackle.
Let's be honest. Russell Wilson got sacked 2 times on Sunday. If it wasn't for his mobility, he could have been sacked 10 times. I'm dead serious. See some of those throws?
Okay, but at the same time, the other thing I do want to point out, though, is there were a couple of times yesterday that Thomas Rawls ran into a defensive player.
Yes, that's stupidity because the running backs are trash.
Okay, Kev, don't expect your run game to get much better.
I'm not. No.
It's the pass game that will get better.
Russell Wilson accounted for all but 3 of the Seattle Seahawks offensive yards.
Actually, that's not true. He actually accounted for all of their yards.
No, 3.
Plus 3. He was 101%.
What's the plus 3?
He was the GOAT.
That's impossible.
He got 482 and the net yards was 479, I think. That was the stat I heard.
Crown him. No, Eddie Lacy had -1 yard.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me look at the rushing game.
Yeah.
But I don't think Dwayne Brown is really known for
because
their run game hasn't been that great even with him, right?
No, that's what I'm saying. He's known for pass protection.
It's better. I'm not saying that this is like we have the greatest offensive line and that solves everything, but it's depth. It's a starting guy. It's a veteran guy. So that
he's a good player. Like he's a pro caliber tackle.
And obviously, you get him. You're going to keep him long term now, right?
Yeah.
That's like you don't make that trade if you don't keep him long term.
Yeah.
Which is probably like 3 years, realistically, because he's 32, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. McKissick had 6 yards, and then Rawls had -1, and Lockett had -2. So there'd be 3 yards that weren't accounted for Wilson. So there you go.
The other way around.
This is a question for you because you just saw Dwayne Brown go to the Seahawks. Peters is obviously hurt. Do you think it's a coincidence that the Eagles had the worst offensive performance the first game that Jason Peters was out?
A little bit. I think they were waiting for the bye week to maybe switch Lane to left tackle and then Vaitai to right tackle. But yeah, no, it was definitely an issue. Credit though, to be honest, it's hard to say because just watching it, even just the sheer power and athleticism from San Fran defensive line, we've played better defensive lines, and like even Johnson was having trouble with his guys. Like I look at that left side, and yes, there was some issues with Vaitai, right? Which is going to happen. But I think we're still going to be able to produce with Vaitai. But when we go to the trade, there was big rumors with Joe Staley, which is pretty ironic that Fletcher Cox was the one that broke his orbital bone, and now he's not going to be back for 3 weeks. So that kind of stinks because it was the Eagles that maybe injured the guy that could have been on the team. There's another guy.
They still could trade for him, though, I heard.
Yeah, so. But I hear too, which I wouldn't mind, is Cordy Glenn from the Bills is getting thrown around there, which is just better than.
Why are the Bills trading all their players?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's how they've been doing all season. All season.
Tyrod Taylor's like, give me some help.
Yeah, so
please.
They did. It was the worst performance.
I'm throwing to a quarterback.
The only thing I do like is that we've seen Wentz. He plays and gets out of things. You can't do it all the time. I think the run game, we got stuff, but still, Blunt still averages 3 yards per carry, which obviously isn't great, but 3 yards, and then a QB sneak is a first down. So,
okay, coach.
Yeah.
I told you if you get 3.3 yards every play.
Exactly. It's a first down.
All right.
But yeah, no, it is definitely going to be an issue moving forward. But I think Vaitai, there could be a lot of worse offensive line backups that we could have had, and Vaitai is average.
Okay. Jimmy G is the franchise quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. Okay, to be honest, I wouldn't have preferred a better destination for Jimmy G. If he was going to get traded, I wanted it to be to the 49ers, so I'm happy for that. Good shit. Okay, so the 49ers, they got a good quarterback here. Now, is he a franchise quarterback like AC wants to argue? I don't know that.
Said it. You just said he was.
No, I mean, he is the franchise quarterback, whether we like it or not. Not that he is a franchise quarterback.
Okay.
He is their franchise quarterback.
Okay.
What's an example? Joe Flacco is the franchise quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens, but he's not a franchise quarterback.
But he won a Super Bowl. We can't compare it. We have to compare it to someone that's never played.
He's won 2 Super Bowls, actually. There you go. He's won 2 Super Bowls.
No, I know. Well, as a backup,
No.
But anyways, I think this is a talented guy. He's coming into an offensive system that I think will be good for his skill set. I think next year we'll probably see some nice things from him. This year he'd probably play pretty quickly. I think in the next couple of games. Next couple of games he'll play. Yeah, he'd probably play 1 or 2 more games and he's in. But he's talented. He can throw the ball deep. He's got good accuracy. He has a little bit of mobility. He has all you really need in a quarterback. He's very composed. He's a great guy. I think he'll do well. I just, like AC says, I don't know if he's a franchise star quarterback, but I'm pretty sure that he's a good quarterback at the very
Matt
least.
Schwab.
I think he's better than Matt Schwab. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he has the potential. I think he has the potential. No, that's just my opinion. I think he has the potential to be a Tony Romo.
2 games.
That's my opinion. I think he could be a Tony Romo.
Now you got me interested.
That's his high side.
I think that's where he could be, as his potential is Tony Romo.
Yeah. Okay.
I think his. I don't know. Obviously, his floor could be Trevor Siemian, but I don't know.
Well, I'm just thinking. I think he's going to be decent. I just think, at the end of the day, I think the media and whoever, and probably Jimmy G's agent, was giving all this information away. Jimmy G's agent, because. Mm-hmm. We were talking like a 15th overall pick at one point. A lot of people.
Oh, yeah. Adam Schefter was. Jason Lock. All the guys that do the freaking thing, we're talking like 2 firsts.
I think. But I think it proved that it was wrong.
Mm-hmm. It was probably a first-round pick. Was the thing?
It wasn't. They said that the last Browns offer was a 2nd and a 5th. Which is similar to this trade because it would have been a 33rd. It would have been the first pick.
But we never know because they may not have wanted to trade it to, say maybe the Broncos offered their first round pick, but they didn't want to trade it to the Broncos. because they didn't want to trade it to a team that's competing in the AFC.
Well, we don't know that though. Come
Well,
on,
didn't-
we don't know that.
Facts we know.
But a
I
second
know, but
round,
dude, let's just talk about facts that have come out that we know.
33rd overall pick is as close as you can get to a first round pick. So it was probably a first round pick or an early second round pick is what they were asking.
Well, didn't I hear 2 second round picks at the draft? I thought I heard that as well.
I'm just saying now, Schefter reported that said the deal that the best deal they had was the Browns offering a second, which was the 33rd, which basically is a late first round pick, like you said, and a 5th. So technically, they pretty much get the same without an extra pick in this trade.
So they just decided them to ship them to the 49ers.
Yeah, here's what I think about.
They were going to resign him too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this is good.
Before I just want to finish on AC's note. They weren't going to sign him this offseason. So that might have lowered the price, but I don't know. But at the same time, we'll get into what the Patriots might do with that second round pick. But let's hear from Dilly.
I like this. Again, I said not next season, but the season after that, the 49ers are making the playoffs. And I think they have a greater chance to do so with Jimmy G as the QB. We've been talking about how this team has struggled in certain positions, and they're just a little bit of ways. They got Shanahan as the coach now. They're getting some momentum. They drafted really well. If we go back to our draft, reactions that we did live, go check that out. We talked about how the 49ers had one of the best drafts in the 2017. So we were saying that these guys were going to get better over time. The first year was going to be struggle because they didn't have a QB. Now, they still got a lot of talent to go. They still need to get a couple of pieces on offense, like in terms of a receiver. But they've obviously now got their quarterback that they think is going to be the move going forward. And I think that's a solid positive for the 49ers to at least get some steam here for the next, season and a half. And if you're the Patriots, this simplifies that you think Brady's going to be the quarterback for the next 5 or 6 seasons. So they have no backup quarterback right now. I think they'll go sign Hoyer, but they have nobody. But I mean,
Hoyer would still be one of the best backups in the NFL if they do end up signing Hoyer.
If they get him as a backup, yeah.
But Brady, it seems like they have a lot of confidence in him because not only did they trade Garoppolo, but they also traded Brissett. So obviously they think that he's going to play for at least 2 to 3 more seasons.
I still don't get why you're such a Hoyer fan, Mitch. You're a big Hoyer guy regardless. Because I think Hoyer is pretty good.
He's had good moments in his career.
He's had good moments, but he's not a guy that's going to lead your team. If Brady gets injured, they go nowhere with Hoyer.
Backup quarterback.
I'm just saying, if Brady gets injured, they're not winning a lot of games with Hoyer as the quarterback.
They're not winning the Super Bowl, but that doesn't mean they can't win a lot of games.
Say if there's 8 games left, they're 3-5. In my opinion.
How do you know?
I'm saying, but how do you? Come on, dude. Like half we talk about is how do you know, man? You guys are the kings of how do you know? Like,
well, they went 3-1 last year with 2 backups.
With an actual good quarterback, this is we're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, they had 2 Jimmy, 1 with Brissett.
It's kind of.
Huh?
Brian Hoyer's 0-15. Like I don't like how he was treated here in San Francisco, but to say the Patriots would be
okay, but are we
win a lot of games with Brian Hoyer?
I think what I'm getting here is AC is really hoping for an injury for Brady. I think that's what he's.
When did I say that? I said if there is an
injury.
Well,
that's the only thing you're arguing about. Like, is that the downside of the Patriots trade?
No, I'm just saying Garoppolo was in that system. It's tough. Obviously, Hoyer's been somewhat in that system, but he's been a long way away. When you have a backup quarterback, you need him to know the system, especially on a
How many teams have a better backup than Brian Hoyer? If they're about to sign Brian Hoyer, this is assuming.
I would say Nick Foles is better than Brian Hoyer.
I'd say incorrect.
Where's Foles again? In Kansas City. Philly? Yeah, okay.
Oh, he's back in Philly? Okay.
I'd say Bridgewater's better.
Bridgewater's going to be the starter, so.
Okay, then I'll say Keenum's better.
I would agree.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Okay, let's go.
I don't think Nick Foles
rosters.
Okay, Mahomes,
okay. He's a young rookie. Sure.
Yeah.
I'll give it to him.
I'd say even Huntley.
No. No.
I would say he's better in a Packers system, but I don't think anywhere else.
No, exactly. But I'm just saying, like, that's the thing about backup quarterbacks. It's a system. A lot of these quarterbacks have been sitting behind the starters for
we've
3
seen
to
that
4 years.
quarterbacks have played well in the Patriots system.
Kaepernick.
Yes. Yeah.
Kaepernick's not going to the Patriots.
He's going there.
I would love that.
Sign this man.
That would be a great statement, but I'd love that. I'd support it, but no, it's not going to happen.
Savage is better than Hoyer too.
No, I wouldn't even agree with that. I won't give you that one. I'm sorry, I won't give you that one.
Right?
I'm just saying, to blatantly just say that, in your opinion, Hoyer is the best backup, I disagree.
No, he's not the best, but he's
You
one
just
of the
said
best. I said.
Well, one of the best. So, like, what's
He
one
is
of the,
one of the best.
One out of how many? 1 out of 32 backup quarterbacks? He's
one out of 5 backup quarterbacks? One out of the top 5?
Okay, I'll give you 5 or 6, but not one
So
of.
then
Like,
that's what I mean. Like,
no, but you said he.
and Brady has
was the
and
best
hopefully
back.
Brady
He's the
doesn't
best.
miss a game. But how many games has Brady missed in the past?
No,
like,
not a lot. Not a lot. I just still think
Guys,
that.
I've got college work to do, so I don't know if we can keep going like this. But continue.
I know.
I'm just saying, like, I don't think he's going to get injured. I'm saying down the road, though. Now we're thinking
they'll draft another guy to replace him.
okay, then that's what they do, and good on them because they'll need to.
Sure, if he gets hurt, obviously, but you don't want to count on someone getting hurt. I mean, it's nice to have the plan in place, but then at the same time, what you're admitting is you're saying that Garoppolo's a good quarterback by saying this.
I'm saying he's good fit for that Patriots, but we've seen with Patriots quarterbacks, it's not a good rep, and that's why I'm not a big fan of Garoppolo. Because just the facts are, there's stats to back it up, that all these quarterbacks that play well in the New England Patriots system move on and they don't do well. They don't do anything, really.
Right.
Like,
Matt Castle made the Pro Bowl. Went to the playoffs.
Went to the Pro. Look at his record, though, man. Like, you're a stats guy. You're a smart guy. You don't look at Matt Castle's
records, team stat. He played pretty well for 2 seasons until he got concussed, and then he sucked. That's my consensus on Matt Castle.
I'm just saying, like, in 30 years, people are not going to remember Matt Castle's name.
I will.
You will, for sure.
Kev will.
Because I remember people. For me, I think the nice thing for the 49ers with this is you get a guy at least a half a season auditioned, get used to Kyle Shanahan's system, and you have him prepared for next year, as opposed to trying to figure out with these rookie quarterbacks what you're going to do. So I think that's the one advantage.
And it gives them the flexibility with their first round pick to go elsewhere with instead of the quarterback.
And then you can get that was where I was going to go next. You can get that second round pick back because you can move back and get something else that you need. If Garoppolo you think is the answer, and I'm assuming
obviously
by what
they think
they obviously think that. I think the other thing that is very interesting about this is, and I don't think we'll have time to really delve into this as much as we want to. I find it quite fascinating that we were talking for a year, basically, about Kirk Cousins to San Francisco since Kyle Shanahan was hired, and they went with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Mm-hmm.
I find that very interesting. I think that's a very interesting statement.
They feel that Garoppolo is a good quarterback.
I think they're saying that Kirk Cousins is worth too much money. I think that's what they're saying.
And he's going to get too much money. Yeah, I agree with that.
In Pittsburgh,
yeah. Or Denver. Don't count out the Broncos.
I put the Cousins on the Broncos. I put that out there.
I'm counting out the Browns. Sorry, guys. Let's get to the comments. Also, I just as you're getting to the comments, let's just say this: it's going to be interesting to see tomorrow if the Patriots move that second.
Yes, they want a defensive line. All right, let's get to the comments. All right. People were answering the question of whether or not John Elway is an overrated general manager. Training Solution says he is an overrated manager. Predator says Elway as a GM is overrated. The QB position should never be so bottomless. So people are saying that is not a good solution here. TMV says Broncos should sign Johnny Manziel. Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No. This guy should not be back in any league until he's straightened out.
He is. He's working on it. All right. Broncos should be a hero and sign Colin Kaepernick, says Rob. Yes.
That will never work in Denver. That would never.
Okay, honestly, I think that Kaepernick should. If the Broncos actually wanted to win, Kaepernick would be their quarterback.
Who was their quarterback? Sorry, you cut out.
I think Kaepernick should have been their quarterback this season.
Italian. Fine.
I'm not a big fan of Kaepernick right now because of him calling out Malcolm Jenkins with his
he did. Oh, I didn't know
his lawyer. Yeah.
What did he say?
Oh.
He said that Malcolm Jenkins and Malcolm Jenkins Coalition that's actually doing a lot more for the players and the NFL and owners than Kaepernick has done.
That's actually true. Yeah, that's true.
I think that's what they're doing. They're actually meeting after the game. They just played a game, and Chris Long, and Torrey Smith got on a train that very next morning and went to Washington.
His views are very hypocritical. I will tell you that much.
Kaepernick, with his lawyer, said that that Jenkins did not invite him to the owners thing, which he has done multiple times and has on record. But for some reason, Kaepernick's making a big deal that it wasn't invited, which he definitely was.
He didn't. Yeah, he didn't do that, and then he also didn't vote, which you would think he would be voting, considering all the stuff that's been going down. But that's a political thing.
Let's go. Fast pace. Rapid.
I just also want to.
I'm sorry. I'm the one that's been wanting this thing to go over for 30 minutes. You're gonna fast me.
Let me quickly say
That's
one
what
other
happens
thing.
when AC comes on late. He just starts a whole new video.
Let me say something here, very quickly. One of the things that I'm hearing from a lot of teams that have been brought in Kaepernick is it feels like he doesn't actually want to play football. He's more into the politics, and then he is football.
TMB says, who had a better contract, Osweiler with the Texans or Albert Hainsworth with the Redskins? Now
Hainsworth.
That's old school, but at least Hainsworth got a couple sacks. Fact or fiction, TJ Ward will be out of the NFL next year.
Fact, probably.
Fact.
I could probably be a fact,
Retired.
actually. Retired. Rob says Broncos will be 3-6 in 2 weeks. Yeah, they got to play the Eagles and the Patriots. Not going to win those games.
Although the Patriots game's in Denver, so I never count out Denver against Patriots in Denver.
Do you think the Bears can make the playoffs next season?
Yes. Can they? Yes. Will they? I don't know.
I need to see some receivers.
They need to draft a couple They need to sign or draft a receiver, and they need to do a couple more things. Get a corner, and I think they're pretty good.
If they get some receiver talent, I don't care about them.
I'm not sold on Trubisky. I don't think he's going to have to do a lot with that team because that running game is awesome. But it's interesting to see what happens moving forward without Miller because we've seen the only throws he does make are to Miller. And let's be interesting to see how he plays. Obviously, this season really doesn't matter for them, but it'd just be interesting to see how he throws the ball without his security blanket.
I think they're just too far back of everyone else in the NFC North. Like, really, like when you look at talent for talent, I think they're they're at least 2 drafts away from catching up to everybody realistically right now.
It could be a wild card team. That's what I would think if they get receiver core. Fact or fiction? 8-8 clinches the second AFC wild card. I will say 9-7 is the record that gets in there. Anybody?
I would probably I think 9 or 10, not 8.
I don't think 8-8 can get you one.
Yeah, 9-7.
Bodo, yes, I do watch something on TV when these guys go off. I just watched that. Let's see here. Get the next good comment.
Dylan never goes on a rant.
I don't really need to go on rants. It's better for my health not to do it because I have too many health problems to begin with.
How about Zeke?
Yeah, we didn't really talk about that.
I can talk about it. After so long of this whole suspension, I'm just like.
How do you feel like that the Cowboys aren't going to make the playoffs?
I think they could. I still didn't think this team was going to make the Super Bowl with the team they were making anyways. So the most I was hoping was a wild card and then just go from there.
Come on, man. I'm trying to get you mad.
You can't really get me mad right now because it's not – because I feel about like the situation I think is some bullshit. I'll say that. But, the Cowboys are going to have to go on without him, play some hard games. If we can survive and get that wild card spot, we'll have Zeke back by the rest of the season. By the end of the season, I should say. So
I think that it was a mistake waiting this long. I think they should have just said, okay, you know what? Deal with the 6-game suspension. Get it out of the way. We'll need you later. I think waiting this long is going to hurt them going forward.
I agree. I'm not saying I'm not indifferent with what the situation are or whatever. Obviously, on these shows way back when at first I had my opinion on it. Now I don't care that much, but I do agree that they must have maybe thought because of the Tom Brady way, but it's completely different in a way when you're dealing with an on-field thing with Tom Brady than kind of an off. And when you're dealing with all these court systems, no one wants to be the person that says, okay, the league was wrong for what you allegedly did. You know what I mean? It's tough for any judge. It's easier for a judge to be like, no, he didn't deflate footballs. You know, it's tougher for a judge to be like, no, he didn't do something to that woman.
Yeah,
I still think there's a complete lack of evidence, but besides that point,
Bro, I knew you were screwed when it came out that it was a woman doing it.
Yeah, I didn't know that till today. That sucks. But next man up, next game, gotta focus on the Chiefs game. That's all I'll focus on. We're on to Cincinnati, is the quote. Let's see here. Pittsburgh, our Chiefs need to avoid the Steelers in the playoffs. Absolutely. Let's get a couple more good ones.
What's that? No, go ahead. It's all good.
Okay. Predator says Eagles this season are the best in the NFC and probably in the league. So somebody in the chat was saying Seahawks are number one because, of course, they're the Seahawks fan. So I don't know. Mitch,
I don't even have the Seahawks. I would say the Seahawks right now are at highest best 3, at lowest 5 in the NFC.
Yeah,
the Seahawks are 2 or 3, but they're 3 for me.
Yeah,
my 2 would be the Saints. I will make an argument for the Saints.
I think the Vikings are just this much ahead right now.
I'll say
I think though, if the Saints played the Seahawks would destroy them. In my opinion.
They do play. Wait, do they?
Not the way Deshaun Watson moved the ball on them.
I'm not entirely.
Do you think that's a one-off? So but why aren't? I'm hearing from Hawks fans that this is the greatest team ever, especially in the comments. But why aren't we talking about that then? What happened? How Watson
I did talk about that.
No, I'm not saying you guys. I'm saying in the chat. I'm not saying Kevin. In the chat, there's a lot of that going on instead of. I don't see a lot of realistic. I feel like with me and my team, my Eagles, I'm realistic. I'm not thinking we're the best team ever because it's a long season. I've been through it. I just think there's not a lot of people are talking about even just on our local Seattle channels here. They're just talking about how great Russell Wilson's performance and aren't really talking about the points they gave up. Because in Seahawks fans,
I heard some people talk about that.
But I still feel like in Seahawks minds, they think that was just a defensive one-off. And for Sherman to say that, I think to Sherman to get some pressure off, obviously Watson played well, but to say that he was the best quarterback they've ever seen in that building, I think it was a little cop-out to make their defense a little less pressure. Just be like, oh, that's the reason why our defense played bad, because we went against Deshaun Watson, one of the greatest guys that ever came in and played a game at Quest.
Yeah, I think next week, whether it's a one-off or not, I don't know.
He even said Quest. Wow.
Whether it's a one-off or not, I think we'll see next week on both ends, offensively and defensively, because you could argue it was a one-off offensively too. So, I mean, I'm going to wait and see what happens next week before I start jumping up and down and praise or bang my head in panic. I mean, it was a weird game, and we'll see next week. That's what I have to say.
Predator says Pats can sign Tony Romo. Yes.
No.
Yes. Bodo says Bills trading players to prepare for their move to Canada. Yes. Amazing.
They're not moving to Canada.
They're not moving to Canada. The NFL's not coming to Canada.
It's a joke. Okay. Predator says Kirk to Jags. Yeah, that would be great, actually.
That would be good.
I'd actually like that team. It'll be interesting to see Dak without Zeke and how the pressure. Yes, of course, that'll be interesting.
No worries. Alfred Morris got burst.
Y'all still get a goof on me for that, but I tell you what, Alfred Morris is going to play good this week.
He'll have some plays.
It's obviously a big loss to have Elliott gone, but
yeah,
Alfred's gonna do good. Rob says fact or fiction: Roger Goodell will be out as commissioner before the new CBA.
Fiction.
Probably fiction.
Knowing how they're trying to get him out, but they're not going to be able to.
Yeah, they need 24, and I think right now it's around 17 or something like that. It's still up. It's pretty up there. But Jerry Jones.
Who's on the pro side? I'm curious.
I'm not sure.
The Colts,
but I'm
the
not saying
Ravens.
Jerry Jones knows that he has a group of 16, 17 that he could probably sway. I'm not saying all 17 agree, but I know that Jerry Jones had his own little like half ownership meeting of guys that he knows.
Kraft is for sure in.
Has to be. I think it would have to be. And that's it for comments. That is it.
And let's be honest, it's a figurehead. The commissioner is always going to be hated. It's nothing new.
Yeah, it's just the owners. The owners run the league.
I'm saying, but the commissioner happened to talk Tagliabue. They didn't want, like, you know what I mean? Like, Tagliabue, the owners didn't really like him at the end. You know what I mean? Like, it's a tough job to make these decisions. And with the problem we have in, like, living in 2017 with these players and social media, and maybe some of them are bad dudes, you can't, before it was easier for a commissioner just to be like, oh, whatever, let the law deal with it. We'll do our own thing. But now you got to make a statement.
I feel you, AC. I should say I feel you, AC, but I feel like in other sports they're getting the commissioner spot right. I don't know. Adam Silver's been a great commissioner, I think, of the last 4 years. And Manford, I think, has been a good commissioner of MLB. I don't know. I agree with you with the owner statement. I agree they control it more. I just don't think Goodell has put up his side as well.
But I'm just talking about issues. We see more player issues in the NFL than other sports.
That's true. I'm just saying. I think it's more. I think
we had a player kill multiple people while playing in the NFL.
Shit, that was 03.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, we've
no. I was just trying to. I just forgot about that.
Happens with NFL players and more public stories than we've seen.
Yeah, I think it's been a combination of both, but I agree. That's a problem. Yes, that's a huge problem. Yeah, that's it for comments. That's a weird way to go on.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. It's Mitch, AC, Kevil, Dilly Vanilli. It was a long one. Again, a good one, though. Lots to talk about. Hopefully we can do some sort of video tomorrow about the trade deadline if anything crazy happens. If it does, we'll be on, or at least I will make a short video on it. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Like the video, subscribe. Peace.